Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is spank that like button before watching this, to help the video reach a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number 1, here's a reality TV show idea. Send socialist college students to the countries that have their desired political systems, and film them while they try to survive there for a few months. Cuba and Venezuela would be nice, but the wokesters would never produce this because it would actually prove them wrong. But seriously, months. They wouldn't even be able to last a few days to a week. I'd pay to watch a show like this. Up next is a woman named Nara, telling us how a DNA test is not best positioned to answer the question, who's your daddy? Women will say whatever they can to not have to take accountability for cucking some fool into thinking that he's the father when he isn't. DNA tests are the only way to know if it's your kid for sure, and they should be mandatory after birth. But women wouldn't like that. Number 3, a mentally ill man in Toronto is not criminally responsible for ending Julia Ferguson, a receptionist at a downtown law firm. This is why we need to reopen the asylums, but they only exist in fiction with Arkham Asylum and Batman. They'll probably offer him maid instead, and even crazy people know that ending themselves is not a good thing. He's probably walking the streets right now, and God forbid he not take his medication today and run into another receptionist. Moving on is a woman writing to Dear Abby for advice on how she can divorce her husband when she's the one making all the money. She says she can't just leave him destitute. That's her trying to look like she's not selfish and the victim. Don't worry, lady. You won't be leaving him destitute once the divorce lawyers are done with you. Get ready to give up more than half of everything you own by bending over in order to receive equality up that swing. Number 5, which one of these two would you choose? The DeLorean is far more visually appealing. I'd take the DeLorean if it came with a Tesla drivetrain. DeLorean beats Tesla when it comes to style, and they did it 42 years earlier. But in fact, I'd choose the Land Rover in the distance, next to store. Most of you thought that you only had 2 choices. Surprise, you actually have 4. Up next is a concerned woman because someone told her that her new tattoo looks like a girl eating someone's rear end. I think she gave the tattoo artist grief, so they gave her this tattoo. Maybe the artist was a fan of the human centipede. Who knows? Instead of spending her money on a tattoo, she should have used the money on a gym membership because she looks rather poorly from the backside. Number 7, if you ever want to know if a female character has gotten stronger in a film, forget about character development. It all comes down to her having shorter hair. Who is this supposed to be, Captain Marvel in Avengers Endgame? But forget about character development because it's like women stay the same, and the only thing that happens as they get older is that they cut their hair short in a vain attempt to try and look younger. But that only seems to work for men. Next stop, this woman is going to get purple hair, tattoos, piercings, and some funky glasses too. Moving on, scientists at Princeton have reconstructed a 3D model of how the first ever woman created by God may have looked. She's white and looks like Taylor Swift. I'm really surprised she doesn't look like the perfect woman, Lizzo. I also didn't know there were so many makeup products available back in the early days. If you believe this, then God gave her eyeliner too. Number 9, criminal justice experts are proposing giving money to blacks so they don't commit black-on-black crime anymore. So I guess we have to pay them to stop ending each other. But that won't work. It'll reduce the violence for a short period of time, and then it'll come back and they'll just demand even more money. The only way to reduce the crime is to put testosterone blockers in the blocks of government cheese that they give them, and then the crime rate will crash. Up next is a young girl getting a selfie with DiCaprio at the US Open. This was back in 2016, and that girl's probably 18 to 20 years of age now. And he wasn't just taking a picture with the fan, but potentially his future girlfriend. My question is, whose phone is that? Also, who or what is Leo showing her? Unfortunately, because it was at a men's match, it went on a little bit too late, and by the time it was over, she was too old for him. Leo was probably showing her this graph where women peak at 25. Number 11 is Tim Pool on his tippy toes, so he can appear taller than he really is. Is he really insecure from head to toe? You be the judge. He should embrace his height because short people live longer. Also, what does he have to feel inferior about? He's rich and successful. If he filled his beanies with more stuffing, he could easily gain another 6 inches. Or he could do what De Niro does here and get a pair of these bad boys. Also, what's wrong with the other guy's feet? Can these guys just retire already? Moving on, are you still talking to a real woman? You should now make your own using lover.ai, which is a website to create AI girlfriends. But you just know that the real women won't like this. If you're going to be put in the friend zone, then at least an AI girlfriend is going to be honest about it and not give you hope. Number 13, a Brazilian woman was arrested after taking a deceased person to sign a bank loan. But how is that any different than what Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi are doing right now? Those two may have a pulse, but the lights are on and nobody's home. I'm sure this unfortunate person is also going to get wheeled in at the end of the year to help Biden get reelected. Biden can't lose with the dead voting for him. Real life Weekend at Bernie's here. Up next, here's an example of how college will mess you up more than heroin. She went from making butterflies to turning her eyelashes into butterflies, and wondering who was going to end Brett Kavanaugh. A couple of decades of parenting undone in only 2 semesters. Also, why do they wear those ironic glasses now? Do they have actual vision problems or just want to look as smart as possible? Imagine shaving your eyebrows off to draw those on. Number 15, another crazy story from Canada. Toronto's highest ranking black female police officer admits to helping black officers cheat to get promoted. DEI doesn't stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion, but instead stands for didn't earn it, like in this case. I smell a lawsuit, and as a Toronto taxpayer, I'll probably have to pay part of my taxes towards this clown world nonsense. The crazy thing is that even with affirmative action, they still needed the hand up. Ladies and gentlemen, this might be Canada's next prime minister. Moving on is a sneaky woman. She found out her guy cheated on her, and instead of breaking up with him, she created a fake account and sent pictures from it, saying that if he didn't send her money, she would send the pictures to his actual girlfriend. So she blackmailed him but didn't actually dump him because he was probably a high-value man, and she was willing to share him so long as she didn't have to share his money with another woman. Oh, those sneaky East Asian women. Number 17 is a Japanese couple that got caught at the wrong time during an earthquake. I think they were the ones that might have been causing the earthquake to begin with. But seriously, if the earthquake was strong enough, that man probably didn't have to rock back and forth because the earthquake would have done the work for him. They both look like they finished just before the earthquake happened. Up next, a lot of people can't understand how this guy has a successful podcast where he gets 6 cute college girls on every episode, asking them why they're so dumb. It's quite simple, really. He's the white version of Fresh and Fit. There also isn't a shortage of dumb women willing to embarrass themselves on the Whatever podcast for attention, and to promote their Lonely Fools pages as a result. There is also a lot of demand for manosphere content, and not very much supply out there. Number 19, why do many men stay in their car for many minutes after arriving home? To prepare for the stress of dealing with the wives, of course. She's already nagging him through the phone before he even enters the front door. Besides, for many men, it's the only time they have during their day besides when they're in their bathroom alone to have a moment of peace. There's no working, no driving, no nagging, no noise, etc. at that point. Moving on is the difference between supermodels and celebrities versus some random girl that goes to your church. But I never saw any young women at the churches I went to growing up unless it was Easter or Christmas, and those ones would start burning when they were splashed with holy water. At all other times, it was all married middle-aged women and senior citizens. This is a tradcuck fantasy. The only single ones that go to church are over the age of 30 with more baggage than a 747. Number 21, this man that kept his boat next to this house was ordered to put up a fence to keep the boat from view. He built the fence and hired someone to paint it to look like a boat. This is the level of petty I aspire to be one day. This is a win, am I right? The boat is missing a cheeky name like SS Mind Your Business. You know, it was probably one of those Karen neighbors that complained about the boat in the first place. Up next, a woman was jailed for 4 years after she falsely accused a man of struggle snuggle, and that was the length of time that he was in prison for. This is not enough time for her, but it's a step in the right direction. I bet you anything she's going to get barely a year or 2. Relax, ladies. This isn't the West. This happened to some Punjit in India, and that's where this story is from. Number 23, remember guys, the red flags are always there, and she's going to treat you with disrespect one day, but you're too busy wearing those love goggles to see it. Is it any wonder that there are more and more women behaving like this woman, and they're meant to be used and not loved? This poor guy also looks like he's Will Simp. If you want to see a woman's true colors, then put her in front of an unattractive man, and that's what you can expect her to treat you like one day too. Moving on, what went wrong with Western society? Calvin Klein went from having gorgeous female models to ghastly overweight ghouls, and now trans pregnant couples. This is what happens when you let white liberal women be the CEOs. I miss the good old days in the 70s and 80s when everyone looked like the Victoria's Secret model. Today, the only secret about them is their notch counts. Number 25 and the last one, this couple lost all that weight and have gone from being morbidly obese to borderline obese instead. It's not the flex that they think it is. Plus, look at the way the skin hangs off her arm. She looks like a deflated balloon. Until I saw that, I thought it was the opposite. He doesn't look like he lost all that much weight either. It just looks like he changed clothing. Looks like inflation has been harder on some people rather than on others. So that's it. If you enjoy this series and want me to keep making it, then donate at the YouTube, PayPal, or Subscribestar links below. And that's about it. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.